Thank you for attending this press conference. Over the past several days, I've received a number of calls from people closely aligned to APNU AFC that we should ease off on speaking and give APNU a chance to save face and recover, because they're prone to do desperate things if they feel defeated, and we box them into a corner. But we can't do so because of the series of lies that they continue to tell to the people of this country. They've rolled out all of the has-beens, and they're back on television trying to change what actually took place on Elections Day. And we will never allow them to succeed. They are the only party that publicly in their PR would make failure a virtue. They have a unique ability to do this. And they have been misleading a lot of people. I think, as I said before, sensible people question what they say. But there's a whole group out there who would accept in an unquestioning manner what they've said or they're saying. So today I want to respond to some of the things that the country has had to suffer from in the past maybe few hours since my last press engagement. But before I do so, I just want to share with you so that you get an overall picture. From our internal calculations, the PPP has won 906 of the 1,220 seats contesting at the last local government elections. This is up from 779 seats in 2018. In 2018, APNU and AFC combined won 390 seats. In these elections, they're down to 275 seats. So if you look at that, the PPP won about 75% of the seats that were contested in these elections. Now, 75% of all the seats contested in the country, both PR and constituency seats, were won by the PPP. And yet, they will tell you, APNU has won about 22% of those seats. And the other groups that contested elections, the independent groups, and have won about 3%, just over 3%. So that will give you 100% of the seats contested. And they are saying to people in this country that they won these elections and they made great inroads, and that the PPP, all of this spin doctors, etc., did not achieve what it set out to do. We've won 906 of 1,220 seats. by any definition anywhere in the world. 75% win is a massive win. People call a landslide 20%. I said, if we cross the 60 LAA threshold, then that will be a massive victory for us. And we've won the majority of the votes. We outright win, we had more than 60 LAAs, and we had about 66 overall, where we won the largest number of votes in those areas. So that is a fact. APNU cannot change this. GHKLAL cannot change this. The CATIUs, who's been speaking, cannot change this. Norton can change this. This is a fact. The PPP has won 75%, nearly 75% of the seats contested. So that's fact one. I want to respond because apparently they had a press conference. Today is it June 15th? So they had a press conference earlier today. And I had a chance to because their press conference just ended, and so some of the notes came to me. And before I came here, I had a quick check on some of the figures. So one of their claims at the press conference that they just concluded minutes ago is that the APNU made inroads. For example, in Platanka, which is a PPP stronghold. So they mentioned Platanka. Now the fact is that, yes, APNU won the Platanka constituency vote by 5, and their 5 tendered ballots were issued by the RO, the PO. We asked for a recount. On the 5 tendered ballots, they all voted for PPP. He made an error in issuing tendered ballots. And that is why I explained to you the last time why we asked for a recount. We don't know how GCOM will deal with that matter because it is not error in the vote, it's an error in the PO giving the wrong ballot. So if GCOM accepts this, that Platanka constituency will be tied. And then you'd probably have to have a runoff. But even if APNU wins there. But what they didn't tell you in that same LAA, that they won Cottbrat East the last time, and we now won that constituency in the same LAA. And in Platanka itself, on the PR votes, they got 21, and we got 39. So they won the constituency they got 32 votes, we got 27, so by 5. But in the same Platanka, we won the PR vote 39 to 21 in favor of PPP. So this is a lie. They didn't make major inroads into Platanka. In fact, we flipped one of their constituencies, which is Cottbrat East. You can check the numbers. GCOM has been publishing these. This is a lie that they just told a few minutes ago when asked about where they made inroads. Further, Norton said, we maintain our strongholds and picked up votes. In all our areas in Region 5, it was a whitewash. So let's look at this. First of all, the last time in Region 5, the Woodland Farm NDC was tied. We won that NDC now, outright. So that's not true. It was not a whitewash in Region 5. We won several NDCs in Region 5. But look at, if you go through the results more, you will see that at number 5 village, in 2018, we had 2 votes. In 2023, it increased to 206 votes. From 2 to 206 in number 5 village, which is a stronghold of APNU. So who made inroads? Was not whitewash, that's one. Seafield Tempe, NDC, our seats moved from 3 to 6 now, again in Region 5. In Hamlet Chance, we could not even field candidates for some constituencies there. We did so this time. Our votes moved from 17 to 102. So another set of lies told by Norton and his cabal, that it was a whitewash in the whole of Region 5 and that they made inroads. They claimed they made inroads in Region 5 in Blaemont, where in 2018, that is the Blaemont-Gilberland NDC, APNU got 265, and now they have 378, I think. And, but, hold on a minute, so it looks like it's on the fact of it from 265 to 378. But when you add the AFC vote, because they contested separately, they actually had lower votes than the APNU AFC combined. Significantly lower votes than the two combined. And they were in government. You remember they were in government together when they contested, although they contested separately. So it's like Massa Cow, Massa Bull. So people voted for them. So when you combine the two votes, AFC and APNU in 2018, they got less votes in these elections than the combined votes at that time in Blaemont, Gilberland, and the NDC. So again, they did not pick up votes there. In fact, they lost votes. In Buxton Falls, that's true. APNU, that's the only fact that is spoke. We won the NDC narrowly the last time, and APNU won it this time. So let's look at what the results were, but if you go into some details of it, in constituency 1, which is Buxton, the last time we couldn't field a candidate. This time we have 114 votes there. Couldn't field a candidate in 2018, we have 114 votes there. In constituency 2, again, which is Friendship, we didn't field a candidate there in 2018. Now we got 40 votes in that area. In Melanie, we had 36 votes. It moved to 125 in that constituency, difference of 8 to 9. So we picked up, even in their strongholds, significant votes. Even in the stronghold, in places where we couldn't field candidates before. So that was the only truthful thing they said about winning the local government area, but they didn't tell the whole picture, that we made, again, inroads into these areas. So I'm going to come back to the press conference for a moment, but I wanted to talk to you about, go back and talk a bit about Georgetown, because you've heard a lot about from all sorts of people, Gordon Mosley and Starbuck News and many others, saying that we were predicting a win in the city and we failed. Well, if you know me by now and you listen to our candidate, the campaign rhetoric is different than when we speak. Every single time I was asked at this press conference, I said, we're not making predictions, we're waging a campaign. People go into campaign to win. They never go into a campaign to lose. But we are aware of how difficult in many of these areas it will be. These are strongholds of the APNU. So I have seen a lot of people talk about how APNU staved off the PPP in Georgetown and even increased their votes. Again, APNU got in 2018, so the turnout, first of all, moved up by about 5 percentage points. It was 24, it's about 29% turnout now. So higher turnout in the city. APNU got 18,127 votes in 2018. Now they got 20,839 votes. So on the face of it, an increase of 2,712 votes that they're boasting about, that they increased their votes in the city. Gordon Mosley and the others getting ecstatic about this. Increased their votes. But AFC got, which I don't see in the analysis, and someone did a brilliant piece, I think. I don't know who did it, but in the city, which has been very helpful. I'll show you it in a moment. But I think they missed this, that the AFC vote in 2018 was 3,059. So combined, they got 21,186 votes in 2018. In these elections, they got 20,839, a drop of 374 votes, or 1.6%. So their votes in the city actually declined. It did not increase by 2,712, as everyone is portraying now. I see they're talking about it and some of the analysis being done, and the headlines screaming APNU increased their votes. They did not increase their votes, because these were a party that were together in government that just contested separately at the local government level. But when combined, you look now, so they've lost votes in the city from 2018. There was no increase. On the other hand, the PPP's vote was 7,050 in 2018, and it has grown to 12,553, with a higher turnout in the city. We got 5,503 votes more than in 2018, and APNU lost votes, 347 votes. So we increased our votes. They had a decline, and we increased our votes in Georgetown by 78%. That is it. And if you look at some of the constituencies, you will see how close the race was in many of them. One we lost by 4 votes, another by 166 votes, another one by 200 odd votes. With maybe another few hundred votes, we could have flipped the city, because we lost about 3 or 4 constituencies narrowly. And the gain was across the city. In one, it was 498 votes more than 2015 constituency 1. In 2, it was 376. In 3, 240. In 4, 421. In 5, 528. In 6, 287. In 7, 187. In 8, 309. In 9, 367. In 10, 473. In 11, 331. In 12, 489. In 13, 468. In 14, 315. And in 15, 81. But that's a very small constituency with only maybe 1,000 votes that were cast. So you see gains right across the city in strongholds. That is the true picture that they will like to hide from you. That is the picture of Georgetown. 1, we moved from 7 to 11 seats, could have won many more constituencies with just a few more votes, and because the margin was narrow. APNU lost votes in the city with a higher turnout. APNU AFC lost votes in the city. We increased our votes by 78%. This is a major, major feat for candidates and those who work in the city in a stronghold of APNU. They behave in a way I don't understand. This about, oh, it's a failure, they didn't win the city. This is your stronghold. You got a trashing in your stronghold because of the campaign that people wage, our candidates. We went to every home. We talked to people. We took a flyer to them. In the most remote corners of the city, we went there. We told them what we're about, and people believed us, and 5,000 of them more voted for us in the city. On the other hand, you, in your stronghold, you lost votes with a higher turnout in the city. So this is a trashing, a defeat by any standard, and no amount of spin will change this. And that's what I urge people to analyze the numbers. So whoever did this table, which has been really helpful to a lot of people because they've been sharing it around, they only use the APNU field. They need to use APNU plus AFC for 2018. And then you will see the true picture. Because as I said before, they were contesting, they were in the government together. So in Bartica, we saw some Estival Lake posted something in on the APNU page, claiming that basically that the PPP didn't win the area, making light of the PR vote, and then Norton and the others saying that we brought in people from other places to vote in Bartica. Typical APNU explanations for defeat in the area. So what are the facts? Again, if you look at the figures declared by GCOM, which they can't disappear from, in 2018, APNU AFC had 1,767 votes. In these elections, their lost votes, they got 1,601 votes, losing 166 votes. The PPP votes moved from 1,145 to 1,784. We increased our votes by 639, which is a 79% increase. So what are the facts again? That more people voted for the PPP, a significant number more than APNU. Over 160 more voted for PPP than APNU. And the PPP increased its vote by 79%. AFC lost votes in Bartica from 2018. And the turnout was about the same level. So that is a fact. APNU lost votes in Bartica. The PPP gained by 79%. Similar to the city, we increased our votes there. In Madhya, again, I see all sorts of things about Madhya. Let me go through this again. The combined APNU AFC vote was 349 in 2018. They got 327 votes this time. They lost about 6% of the votes. Again, they lost votes there, or 22 votes. The PPP's vote moved from 91 to 330. That's over 260% increase in our votes. And you had higher turnout in this area, about 42% compared to 35% in 2018. So we've seen a pattern here. Georgetown, they lost votes from 2018. Bartica, they lost votes from 2018. Madhya, they lost votes from 2018, whilst the PPP has increased by nearly 80% in two of the areas and 260% in one area, in Madhya. Let's continue. So, in New Amsterdam, the combined vote for APNU AFC in 2018 was 2,888 votes. In these elections, they got 3,074 votes. So they got 82 votes more than in 2018, which is a 6.4% increase. Now the PPP, on the other hand, got 1,095 votes in 2018 and 2,337 votes in these elections. So we got 1,242 votes more than 2018. They got 82 votes more, which is about 113% increase. And the voters' turnout increased significantly from 29% to about 37%. So with higher voter turnout, we got a massive increase of over 100%, and APNU got an increase of 6%. So the pattern is holding in all the areas. Massive increases for the PPP, APNU either losing votes or barely scraping another 82 votes here over the 2018, although you had a massive increase there. In Linden, again, so here the combined votes was 4,681 votes in 2018. In these elections, APNU got 7,998 votes, so they increased their votes by 58%, or 3,317 votes. A major increase here. So the turnout moved from 20% to 36% here in Linden. But look at the PPP. The PPP got 402 votes here in 2018 and now got 2,464 votes. So an increase of over 2,062 votes, which is over 500%. They got 58% increase. We got a 500% increase with a fairly large number of voters, over 2,000 voters. That's success too. That's the only area where they actually had, with a higher turnout, they actually had more votes. In Kwakwani, well, those are the tongues. In Bartica, in Letem, we swept all the seats, as you know. So those are the tongues. And in almost all of the other areas, I'm not even dealing with Rose Hall and Corriverton and Anna Regina, because those are clear. They don't even make claims about those. Kwakwani now, not a stronghold. APNU's vote moved from 386 to 528, a 36% increase. The PPP's vote moved from 135 to 424, a 214% increase. Again, major inroads here. So I don't understand. This is not just inroads. Like, this is like major impact in these communities. Like in New Amsterdam, it's 6 to 8 now seats, down from 11-3. And in all of these areas, we have picked up more support. So what is it precisely that you're claiming victory about, or saying you did well? Where did you do well? In the areas that they are listed, I already pointed out they are lying in many of the areas. The generalization about the sweeping Region 5, Platanka, Blaymont, NDC. They are just lying about a lot of these things. It's not true. And so, this is the record of the PPP. And once again, I wish to thank all of the people who worked to deliver these results, from the people who came to us and supported us. And let me assure them once again that I've seen the rumors, or APNU rumor mill, spreading a lot of lies, which I'll address in a moment. But let me assure them that every single promise made by us on the campaign trail, the reason we went out, joined the campaign, is to give people the assurance that every promise made by the candidates of the PPP, because we had a look at what they were promising, that they didn't become outrageous, the promises, that we stand behind those promises. So in every area, that and we're encouraged by the results. We're encouraged to work harder everywhere. In Kwakwani, in Linden, in New Amsterdam, in South Georgetown, in North Georgetown, in Bartica, in Madia, in the PPP strongholds, let them, everywhere else, Portmore, all of these areas where we didn't have even contests. We're encouraged to work because of these results, harder in these communities. They talk about turnout is a rejection of the PPP. That's another thing. So they had a lower turnout when they were in office. Actually, very much lower turnout in many areas. And these are local government elections. You expect, I told you here that our biggest battle is about complacency. Not that people don't support, but they often believe that we are at the national level, we won the election, so they don't need to come out for local government election. And so they should be worried that with such a turnout, that we trunks them. Much less if we had a higher turnout. In fact, they don't think sometimes what they say. They don't think about that, what they say. So let me deal with a couple of issues that we've been hearing, again, at the press conference. So I dealt with the one about we brought in people from outside Bartica to vote. They think people are stupid. So they said, infighting by the PPP, where we have infighting now because of these results. So right now, today, the entire party machinery has had to go around the country. They're starting today and tomorrow to work with the LAs, all 80, to select our PR candidates, because we won a large number of PR seats too, apart from the constituency candidates, so that we can submit these names next week to GCOM. The entire party machinery is working in these areas now, consulting with people to see that we select the best candidates on the PR side to go forward. The party is busy at work now. And we have a lot of work to do because we won in a lot of areas. They probably have less because they didn't win in so many areas. So the party is mobilized, ready, excited. I've spoken to every party member and supporter that wanted to speak with me, and they're all excited about not only these prospects of winning larger votes in traditional areas, but also the excitement about the results that they saw and the defiance of all of the predictions and the lies and everything else in APNU stronghold for people. It has done a great deal for the party psyche, and our members are ready to work even harder. That's what I get from them wherever they are. So the party doesn't have infighting. Now, we know the converse is not true. That in APNU's case, there was a plan to remove Norton hatched even before the local government elections. And sometimes I pity Norton. Let me be frank with you, and I can speak my mind now. Because when you have cutthroats like Roysdale Ford and Amanza Walton and Mai Paul and the others, just hoping you would fail so they can come after you, then it must be a lonely place for him in Congress Place. Must be a lonely place. He probably wouldn't even know who to trust in the area. So sometimes I empathize with him on that basis, because it's not easy to launch a campaign. So Roysdale Ford, you didn't see him on the whole campaign now for APNU. Stayed away, and in many cases undermined Norton. And now suddenly he has emerged with a statement to talk about local government elections. He was busy campaigning to dislodge Norton all along with some institute that he created. Some institute for discrimination and all sorts of things that he was talking about. So recently I saw, what was his thing? He had a long live local democracy in Guyana. Roysdale Ford has appeared now. Couldn't come out the entire campaign, didn't walk the ground, didn't support Norton. and now talks about, in a very lofty style, but full of fluff, in about this. He's positioning himself to tackle Norton very soon. And you recall Mai Paul and Roysdale Ford trying to get the treasurer to undermine Norton with a blank check issue. So I expect the Hungs to go after Norton now. And he's now making it easier for himself by sometimes the utter nonsense that he says at these press conferences. So they will go after him. So when you talk about infighting in the PPP, they have a they've had infighting, and they are going to continue to do this for a long time in the future. A number of people have called me from their side. They share information with us. We're from the inside about all that's going on. And it's not a pretty picture that you can paint about their state of affairs there. They can't, it's a deeply divided party. Some based on failures of the past. Lots of the characters who are still there come with baggage. Roysdale Ford come with a baggage from the Gaming Commission. Mai Paul with baggage from UG and other places. I can go down the list. Today I don't want to do that, but they have a lot of baggage coming. And some of them were the ones that wrought the havoc on the lives of the people of this country in the 5 years. Had no concern for them. And had no regard for accountability. And at Ferguson and the others, you recall, no submissions of their statement to the Integrity Commission. So it is a motley bunch that is fighting for power internally there, and it's not a good picture. So they can talk about infighting in the PPP. That's what they just said at their press conference. But we know what's going on in the PNC. We know about the undermining, and with social media, activists has been recruited by which side to run down each other's. You're going to see it get nastier by the day. So that's one, the first thing I wanted to say. Two, the next lie is, they said at the press conference today, is the day after the elections, while the results were coming, many of the workers had contracts rescinded. In South Georgetown, they said mainly. Now, this is only a party that has no shame would lie like this. I just told you about our great success in many of their strongholds in South Georgetown. I've given you the numbers. And they said that we were rescinding contracts to people. And they spread another rumor that we're going to fire all the part-time workers. We never asked the part-time workers like they would have done, bully them into voting for the PP. We hope they'll vote PPP because they got a job under the PP that they didn't get under APNU. Not a job, but that's why you're here. You provide jobs to people, you provide better health care, you look after them better, and you hope they vote for you. And you campaign on it. We have no shame about doing that, we hope, but we didn't bully them. APNU would have bullied them. APNU would have bullied them. They have a long history of doing that. And so, let me say to any person who had a contract, even in an APNU stronghold, any part of the country, we will not, it's a rumor that we've rescinded any contract. Particularly on election day, they said we rescinded the contract. Two, we're not firing any part-time worker. In fact, we hope to expand the scheme. Three, the business grant that we've had, we will continue. In many parts of the country, people will continue to get their help with the business grant. So please don't listen to the rumors or spread by these desperate people. What we will ensure, however, is Deron Adams and Solomon and the others don't get their hands on these people's contracts so that they can convert them into their own use. And we know what they've done in the past. They will not have that. And we will not allow them to bully and intimidate the voters. I've had called some people. Look at what they tried to do with the leader of our list from Linden, who is a doctor and a pastor. They tried to vilify him every day, urge people not to go to his church, and all sorts of things, threaten him personally. And he stood his ground. This was before the election. He stood his ground because he's a very dignified person. If you have a chance to talk to him, you'd find out how dignified and conscientious he is. Nothing like the Sharma Solomons and the Vanessa Kissoons, who are just looking to profit from people's misery. Very dignified, the individual. And he withstood all of that criticism simply because he made a choice to support the PPP. And their work, he and the others in Linden worked very hard, and they yielded phenomenal results, and in Kwakwani too. So I know they were pumped up.